Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome back everyone to part 2 of detailing stairs in SDS2. So just to recap from our last webinar, which can be found on our YouTube channel for SDS2, and it's under the playlist for webinars. So to recap from the last webinar, we covered the common stair types and stringers that you might encounter in a job. We walked through the process of picking work points and selecting setup options, along with inputting stairs into our model. Today we're going to be adding on top of that, and we're going to be covering the different connections that you would be seeing when you add in stairs, revisions that you might encounter, and detailing the erection views and the stair details. So please type your questions in during the webinar and we'll do a live Q&A at the end. So I just have a few of the common stair connections that we will be covering. We're going to be covering a floor clip, a clip angle. We're just going to be putting in a top cap, and then also we're going to be putting in a shear tab. So these connections are all going to be manual, and they're not going to have any calculations provided, but we'll be covering that a little bit later. We're going to be going over revisions that you might encounter in a job. One of them is going to be including with member pins, which I'll go in more in depth in a little bit, but member pins are going to make it a lot easier as well to be able to make your revisions in the model. And then we're going to be finishing up with detailing the stairs. So I just have a quick stair detail here on the left hand side. That's with our templates, and then over on the right side, that's just how a stair could look in your erection view. So I'm going to go ahead and pop out into our demo. Since I have all of these stairs in here from my previous webinar, I can just build off of those. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding in my connections. We did mention that the connections are all manual, but when I do edit my stairs, I do have some default connection types that I'll get to. One thing that I am going to do is move this up actually a ½ inch. So if I come into my left end here and my near end, my bolt to floor clearance, I can put that at a ½ inch. And I'll just actually go to my near side and far side for that. So then I can come into my left end near side and my left end far side connections. I mentioned that they are going to be manual, so they just won't have any calculations with them. But we do have in here, let's say I'm going to do a floor clip. I want this to be a welded floor clip, and I want that to be on my interior. For my material settings, I want that to be, for my section size, I want this to be a 3x3 by actually a quarter. My dimension to my stringer edge, I want that to be in 3 inches. And here, since I put in that ½ inch from my bolt to floor clearance, I can locate this at my setback elevation. So that's actually going to bring that connection up a ½ inch as well. And then I can have my connection to supporting, and I want that to be 4.5. So here I can come into my left end and just paste that in there and hit OK. And then it's going to go ahead and put those in for me. And now you can see that I have a floor clip in there. Went to welded. I have my dimension to go in 4.5 inches from the edge there. And let me turn this off. And we have that on this side too. So moving up to the top here, I'm going to go to my right end. So I see my right end's up at the top. And I'm actually going to put this to make it a ½ inch clearance on either side. So I want that to be a ½ inch field clearance. And so then along with sticking on my right end, I want these to now be clip angles. Let's go ahead and change that to welded. Exterior's fine. I want this to be a 4x3.5. And then let's change the angle to 6 inches. That's just the weld size. And then I can change information in here, or I can just leave it. I'm going to go ahead and change these to short slots. So if I copy that, go ahead and paste it. Hit OK. And then I have my welded clip angle in there. So when I say manual, I'm just meaning that it's not going to have calculations, but you don't have to physically model in that material, the bolts, the welds, and so forth. It does give you some options in there. I'm going to put a shear tab, actually. I'm going to hide my concrete. Now I can add in my shear tab. So I want to just make sure. So this is going to be my right end settings that I'm changing. And then my right end near side is going to be for here. I'll put a top cap on that for my return. Actually, I'll go ahead and do that now. So I'll do a top cap, and support to work point is 6 inches. I'll do my setback from work point. Let's do a 1/2 inch for the field clearance. I'm going to do my cope depth top at 3.5. Cope length is going to leave it at 6, and I want my thickness to be 1/4. So that's good on my near side. So now I want to go to my right and far side. I'm going to change this to a shear tab, so I'm moving over here. I want my plate length to be 6 inches. And then I'll just change this to short slot. So I have my shear tab in there. And one more thing is I'm going to change this to make sure it's a 1/2 inch field clearance. So if I come up here to my right end, I want it to be a 1/2 inch. And then I also have my top cap in there. And I could come in here and just say I don't want a field clearance on that one. So my right end, I'll just go to my near side. My top cap, I'll put 0. So I'll make it flush there too. So there's a lot of things that you can manipulate in there. So that pretty much sums up the connection portion. There's just a whole bunch of different ways that you can manipulate the connections. Moving on to the modifications here. So let's say this came back and I actually needed to change a few things with thickness, or maybe I wanted to change what type it was even. So from the previous one, I went ahead and copied this over, but this was just an HSS. I can change my type. So maybe instead of an HSS, I want this to be a plate 1/4 by 10 inches. So I can change my stringers to be a plate. I can change my, instead of concrete treads, maybe I want this to be continuous. I haven't done continuous yet. And that's going to be my intermediate and my top. So maybe my top, I want that to be 10 gauge. I'm going to change my return top. I'll do 3 foot 11 and 11/16. I'll leave these gaps alone. And my pattern setback, I'm going to do a 1/16 of an inch because I want the, maybe have a door swinging. I'll make these maybe a 1 by 1 by 1/4. So that's for my top, and let's say for my intermediate, I'm just going to do a 10 gauge again. Let's do a 3 inches for the return top, 1/8 inch for my clearance, and 1/16 again. So we've talked about that before, but since I've changed these things manually in my member edit screen, it just means that if I change something in my continuous for my stair tread definition schedule, it's no longer going to link back to this member edit screen. And so if I make modifications, it's not going to change it on the stair. So that looks good for that. So I did a return top, like I stated, of 3 foot 11 and 11/16. And then let me go back. And then I just did 1/8 of an inch gap, and I did a 3 inch return top. I have a 1 by 1 by 1/4. Actually, let's just say we want some bolts here. So if I come in here for my tread support, maybe I want to go ahead and add in some bolts. And I have the bolts there. So just some easy modifications here. We've done where you can break everything apart. So let's say just on this stair, I can edit this and do break member, or instead of break member part, sorry. I can come in here and instead of shop assembled, so I have it unchecked as shop assembled, and now you can see as I highlight over them, each member is separate. But if I double click on this and recombine it, now they're all one member again. So instead of doing that, I can also just break apart maybe like this bottom tread. So if I go model, member, break member apart and just select that bottom tread. So it's going to keep everything still the stair, but that bottom tread is now going to be its own member. Now something that's nice here though is if I'm going to change this back to a foot out. Something that's nice is, let's say I change this to stick and add in construction line here. Move this down a foot, or maybe let's say 6 inches actually. You'll see that it still moves that down. So what it does in the process is it recombines it and then it re-breaks it apart during that move. So it recombines it so it can move and then it breaks it apart again. So it went ahead and still kept that, and if I edit this, it's going to say that now it's -3 inches and a quarter, and also it's going to not say that it's user main material, and same with the tread material. I can always recombine this too. So if I go to model, member, recombine, I just have to select the members I want to recombine, and now they're the same member again. Now let's say, change this back to stick again. And before I do that, I'm going to edit this just to show how many treads I have. So it's saying that right now, the number of risers that I have by default are 14. Now, if I select this, and maybe I'll just actually move this up with it, and I move stretch, maybe I move this up 3 feet along that same line. Say yes. Now you see everything stretched with it to make that modification. And when I edit this and I go to my general, it automatically updated that to be 17 risers. And then also when I go to my right end, up to 9'9". So it moved it along that slope. Now those are just a few modifications. Another one that I could do is, I'll go back to stairs here. Now let's say I want to move all of this down 4 inches. So something that we can do is member pins. When you start a job, it's by default going to be disabled, but in my job options, there is member pin options. I have this unchecked when I put in these stairs in the first webinar, but if you do have it checked on, then it won't matter for the disabling. But what it's going to do is it's going to automatically restrain those member ends, and so it'll find what, by the system, it'll define what exactly those member ends should be constrained or restrained to. And then user would be if I create my own restraints, and disabled would be the red, like I was stating. Now what I mean for this is if I go into my member ends here, just edit one of these member ends. So right now it's everything set by system, because the user would be if I went to add in my own member end or member restraint. So I could restrain that to a view, I could restrain it to a member line, another member's end, a member plane, to another member's plane, to another member's end plane, spliced members or the even space members. So like even space members would be like a truss, for example. It would always keep them even spaced. I'm not going to do that. I also don't want these disabled. If you do have it where they are disabled, what you could do is come in here and select member ends, and then select everything. I already have these pinned, so I'm not going to do that, but select everything and hit delete. And then you could select everything again and right click and auto pin. So like I stated, you can select everything here, hit the delete button on your keyboard, and then it's going to say, do you want to delete all of these member pins? I'm going to say no for this one. And then you select them all again and right click auto pin. So that's if it is disabled to begin with. I wouldn't probably do this for every job or anything like that. Maybe have like a test job that you could test this on to play around with member pins. I wouldn't do it on a live job right away. Okay, so I have that set to member ends. Sorry, let me go back in there to show you which ones are set. Now this is set to quite a few views. So it's set to my 8'2" view, it's set to my stairs view that I'm in right now, and is also set to E, so it's constrained to all of those different things. So now, since these are all restrained or constrained, I can go to File, Views and Grids, and Move View. I'm going to select all of these views because I want to move everything down 4 inches. Right click OK, select just a point for my reference point, go in the direction that I want, so 4 inches, and I'll just say yes. So you'll start to see, it's going to go through really quick. Now it's shifted everything down 4 inches, and now it's going through and reassigning all of the end conditions there. So now it's shifted down everything 4 inches. And I didn't have to modify all of those stairs and move them down individually. All I had to do was shift it down or move my view, and since all of these were constrained, it moved them down as well. Alright, so that kind of takes care of the revisions. These are just really high level. I can go ahead and go to my detail my views and detail my stair details. So I'm just going to do show detail. I'm going to detail them with my templates. So I'll detail with using the templates. And you could do these out of the box, which I'll show the differences as well. So this is detailing with the templates. These are templates out of the box. We do have template service as well that we can modify specific templates for maybe that's what your specific fabricator needs called out. Instead of deleting a dimension every time or adding specific dimensions every time, we can go ahead and provide that as a template service. So this is detailing with the templates out of the box. I'm just going to show you what it's like to detail. I'm going to redetail this without templates. And this is what it looks like detailing with our system designed dimensions. So again, this is detailing out of the box without any templates applied. And then this is detailed cleaned up with dimensions and templates applied. In my bill of material, I can look at that at any time. And since the last webinar, I did create those to be galvanized. It's going to show up in my remarks here for my galvanized for my bolts and galvanized for my stair in the remarks for the bill of material. So I had that, and then the final thing I have is I'm going to detail my erection view. I just want a little area, so I'll do in 8 feet out, let's just say 1 foot, and I'm going to do save view or save area, and I just want this little area for my stairs. So I'll just call this stair landing view. So in the previous webinar, we talked about in here that I could have my stair outline in my display options. So that's going to affect it if I detail my erection view manually. So if I detail it manually, it's going to base upon what I had set in my display options. If I go ahead and detail my erection view in my settings, I also have the option to go ahead and show my stair outline if I want that to show up. Here's for my erection view. I'll just edit both of these at the same time. You do have the option in here as well as show stair outline. And I'm going to leave that stair outline on, but I'm going to uncheck. I don't want to see the left and right end elevations. So we have it, the stair outline for not only the member line, but I also do have it for my treads and my stringers. The dashed white line is going to show the ascending direction. So this will be the direction that you're going up the stairs. So it's always going to be that dashed line is going to be on the side that you're going up the stairs. So that wraps up today's webinar on part 2 of detailing stairs in SDS2. Today we covered different connections that you can add to stairs, revisions that may occur, and detailing the erection views and member details. So I'll give you a few moments to now type in your questions. I'm seeing a few of them come through. And if you have any questions regarding specific PRs, if they've been fixed, I would go ahead and ask support as well. I just don't have access to our PR bank right now. Someone's asking if you can do an end plate connection. So currently right now, we don't have it where you have an end plate. Let me get in here. We just have the option for the clip angle, shear, or the floor clip, but you could always add in an end plate as well for maybe an assembly. You could copy an assembly over or create an assembly out of that. Okay, so let me go back to, so someone's asking in the erection view, can you change the stair to wire? So if I double click on this, we do have now where you can change this to wire. So they were asking, can you now change, if it's already set to stick, can you change it to wire after it's been detailed? And you can do that. So you just need to edit that actual member in the erection view, member style, and you can set it to stick or wire. Okay, another one would be if you don't want to see this stair outline, that's just going to go back to how it used to be in our erection views. If I take off that stair outline, it's just going to show that member line. So I just need to uncheck, or you can show the stair outline. Let me go back up here. There's a few of them that I've asked. People are asking where the webinars are. So my part 1 of the webinar is located on our YouTube channel. Let me see. I'm just going to pull over our YouTube channel right here. So on our YouTube channel, we do have in the playlists, we have SDS2 webinars, and part 1 is located inside of there. And I'm going to be putting part 2 on today as well. Well, we have regular webinars. Yeah, so we try to have a sales webinar and a support webinar. Each have one of those at least once a month. So we try to have a support webinar, or sorry, not a support webinar, a technical webinar, and we try to have a sales webinar once a month. They can be located, sorry, I'm pulling all of the websites up on my other screen. Let me move this over. So this is our new website now. And if I go to my resources, we have upcoming webinars. So it's sds2.com. And we have upcoming webinars and recorded webinars. So our upcoming webinars are all going to be located here. I'll be taking this one off as soon as I finish. So these are all of our webinars coming up. And we'll be putting more technical webinars up there too. I think we're trying to have a core brace one soon. And then if I click on my recorded webinars, I also locate all of these up here as soon as I finish recording them too. So they can be located on the YouTube channel, or they're also located on our website. Someone's talking about concrete treads. Yes, or the part 1 of the stair webinar, I did show if you were to be doing concrete treads. Let me go back up here. Let me go to ISO. So here's where I showed last webinar. Have you fixed the copy paste issues for the near side far side connections? Sometimes you can't copy any of it and sometimes you have to copy. When I was copying and pasting, I wasn't having any issues. I would make sure to contact support if you haven't already. And I would see if maybe that's a known bug that I just maybe didn't find. But when I was copying and pasting, I wasn't having any problems. And what he's talking about for the copying, pasting, let me open up this one. So if I go into my right and near side, you can copy and then you can paste it over on this. And so what it means is it's going to copy all of this information. Having issues with bolting the bottom end of the floor clip. Okay, so here's my floor clip. I'm not sure what problems you were having with bolting them. I would make sure that you do have, if you have moved this in from the stringer. So let me go into the left end. So I have an interior. But if you've changed your dimension to stringer edge, then you'll also want to make sure that you've changed your horizontal to first hole dimension. So the stringer to horizontal, or stringer to, gosh, what was that called? Dimension to stringer edge. So if you've changed that to 3 inches, then you'll want to make sure that you change the horizontal to first hole as well, because otherwise if that hole doesn't show up there, then it's not going to show anything for the bolted. But Chris, if you have any more problems with that specifically, I would make sure to contact support for that so they can figure out what the issue is for sure. Yes, the webinars are also going to be available on YouTube. Here's more questions. Is part 1 of the YouTube, or is part 1 of the webinar located anywhere on your website? Yes, I just showed that, but it is located. So actually, since if you do want to go to the website, sds2.com, resources, and then you can go to recorded webinars, and we do have detailing stairs part 1 on there, or you can also find it on YouTube channel, and it's underneath the webinars. I have that open in a different one. YouTube, you can go to playlists, and then it's also under SDS2 webinars. Is there any webinar for railings? Yes. So actually, I'm going to make sure this doesn't play anything. Sorry. Okay, so over here we have all of our webinars, and we're hoping to do some more railing or handrail webinars, but if you come down here, there is handrails. So 2018, there's a handrail one. It's about 23 minutes long. So it's called Handrails in SDS2. But there's more in-depth ones, I believe, in 2016 or 2017. There's some more enhancements, and also 2016, I believe, should have some handrail too. Yeah. So handrail, there's a part 1 and part 2. So those go very in-depth on modeling in railing. But we are hoping to have more up-to-date ones as well in the upcoming future. Okay, I'm just going through a few more. I'm just going to take a few more questions here. Can you turn off the member line but keep the outline for the stair? So let me go back here. Actually, I haven't tried that, but so if I edit this and turn off member, yes, so it does look like you can do that. So if you edit that stair, you can come in here and turn off member, and it'll just keep the outline, but get rid of the member line. It's a good question. This webinar, we're not teaching how to create templates, but the ones that I showed were out of the box templates. If you have any more in-depth questions on templates, we do have someone that runs our templates department. That would be Steve. And I would probably contact either your support rep or your sales rep to try to get in contact about more information about templates for stairs. If you have any questions that are not having to do with stairs, I would definitely contact support. It's support@sds2.com, and they should be able to show you or help you answer those questions. So this webinar is strictly for stairs. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start wrapping up. If you have any more questions, please contact support, and I'll try to go through. There might have been a couple that I missed out of here as well, and I'll try to go through those and get them answered too. But thank you very much for joining, everyone. I hope that you have a good holiday if you're gonna celebrate Independence Day. If not, I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, everyone.